Let's call to order the regular meeting of the Batavia Public Library District Board of Trustees meeting for February 18, 2014. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please.
McGuire Popick. Here. Blodgett. Here. Deichmann. Here. Von Lunen.
Here.
Jakubowski. Here. Sullivan.
Here.
Schuster here.
Okay. We have a quorum. Item 4 is comments from the audience. Seeing no audience present, we'll move on to item 5, which is this evening's consent agenda, consisting of minutes from November 19th. That's a closed session. Regular session minutes from January 21st. Expenditures from January 2014. Would any trustee like to remove any of these items for a separate vote? Okay. Can I hear a motion?
That we accept the agenda as proposed.
Second.
Okay. Second by McGuire Popick. I guess roll call on that one, please.
Okay, McGuire Popick.
Here. Yes.
Okay. Blodgett.
Yes.
Deichmann.
Yes.
Von Lunen.
Yes.
Jakubowski.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Schuster, yes.
Okay. Consent agenda items are approved. And now item 6 is approving the regular agenda for tonight. Do I hear a motion?
So move.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Jakubowski and second by Schuster. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, item 7 is financial reports from January. We have some, the budgets, working budget and progress to date in our packet. Any, Joy, anything to highlight here?
No, of course, you're probably going to notice a lot of snow removal bills. And I looked at it, we're significantly higher than the last 2 winters because we didn't have nearly the snow the last 2 winters, but we're actually not to the amount we were maybe 4 or 5 years ago where we had a pretty brutal winter too. So depending on if we get any more snow, we should be okay, but that is significantly different than last year for us.
Okay. So our contract is paid by...
Yeah, we have a contract that's actually paid by event and actually paid by snowfall. So we pay less for, I think it's broken off between 1 to 4 inches, 4 to 6, and then 6 plus. And then we've had so much snow, we've had an added expense that we actually have to have them take it out, with a bobcat, so that we don't use up all of our parking spaces with big mounds of snow like you see other places. So it's like I said, I looked at, we had a couple of winters where we spent in excess of where we're at now, but it wasn't the last 2. We're probably spending about double what we spent last year.
Okay.
So.
We said March.
Yes, we do still have March, but I'm happy to report it's warming up because I ran outdoors today. So.
Yeah. Joy, I have one question.
Okay.
Am I reading this correctly, that in January we, under gifts and memorials, that light item, we recorded $8 in revenue? Is that?
That is true. What happens there is every once in a while somebody at the front desk will pay fines or something like that.
Okay.
And if they pay a little extra, they go, just keep it. So the standard procedure is basically if anything extra just goes to the gifts and memorial line. So if we don't have a big gift, it does look like it's not very much, but that's just always what they've done at the front desk.
Change and whatnot in the month.
They owe 85 cents, they give $1, and they go, don't worry about it. So then it just goes there.
Right.
So and that's been our practice
Okay.
for a long time.
Those
You don't notice it unless we don't have any other gifts.
Right. Okay. All right. Questions for Joy?
And maybe someone from the Services Committee could also answer this. The wishing well, spiral wishing well, would that go under gifts and memorials too?
The committee did not recommend allowing the Friends to place that in the library.
Oh, okay.
If foundation, not Friends. But if the committee had done that, that money would have gone directly to the foundation, not in this budget at all.
Oh, okay.
Because
I'm sorry, I missed that in
it
here.
would have been a foundation. Well, there's no report on that in the packet, but that money would have been for the foundation to disperse.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. Any other questions for Joy? Okay, thank you. All right. So item 8 is the president's report. I guess as we were, the public may be aware that right now there is a community survey being done on behalf of this library as part of our strategic plan. So certainly if that's sanctioned by this body, and we encourage everyone to participate. So please do if you get that phone call. As part of that strategic planning process as well, and the information gathering by the consultant that we've hired, all of the trustees here are also being interviewed as part of that process. So to the trustees, thank you for your participation in that and making time to take part in those interviews. That's all I have in my report. Any good news or comments from the board?
Doug, I attended the genealogy class on last Wednesday, put on by Stacy, and it was very informative, and I got to commend Stacy for her good teaching skills, and looking forward to the next one on Wednesday.
Okay, thank you. So it's a multi-class procedure, huh?
Yes.
Couldn't learn everything in just one session.
Well,
right?
first one was heritage, and the second one's going to be the ancestry.
Okay. Okay, learning the different websites. All right. Okay.
I should mention that Stacy gave a presentation on genealogy and family history to the Rotary Club of Batavia, and Tom heard that presentation, but I think several others did as well, so we may have others who were inspired to take the class because of that. So thank you to Stacy for that presentation.
I heard a radio item recently about, and I don't know what kind of websites these are, but they can trace your genealogy all the way back to Adam and Eve, supposedly.
That's where you send in your DNA.
Okay. Oh, that's what that is. Okay. Yeah. Maybe not so legitimate.
I've done that.
Anyways, something I found
To
interesting.
find your ancestors?
It's National Engineers Week this week.
Okay.
Toot our own horn, so.
Where are there any parties or festivals?
We also run and play with our slide rules and calculators, calculate,
What line of family?
Good.
No,
Okay.
it's,
Yeah, my
yeah, some of the
daughter did
organizations will have events and such. There's a lot of outreach for
National
children,
Geographic,
STEM,
where they
things like that,
take
activities
you
for kids to learn about engineering and sciences and such.
Okay.
So is this the train or the slide?
Interesting.
Exactly, we all wear little spray hats.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I'm substitute teaching, and we were doing pi times whatever, studying circles. And I was trying to explain to the kids that they use 3.14, and I'm like, I said, there's an annual contest every year to see how far out somebody can get pi. Do you know what the number is now? Okay, all right.
It's a huge number.
It's huge, right?
Yeah.
It's huge.
Oh, boy.
There's actually a national Pi Day.
Pi Day,
March
314.
314.
That's right, March 14th, yeah, 314.
coming up.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Yeah. Teachers would know this.
All right. Any other comments from the board? Okay. Thanks, everyone. All right. Item 10 is correspondence and communications. We have Letter here from the Secretary of State's office awarding us our per capita grant of FY14. And is this, well, I noticed that in our budget document here, we have a note that this was recorded in December of 2013. Is that the same thing that we're being notified about here? That notation?
I don't think that's what that means, is it, Joy?
No, basically, okay, it used to be that we would always get the per capita in the same year and spend it. And a couple years ago, when things got behind for the state, we were kind of in arrears. So to be consistent within the audit, we have to capture it at the same time for the couple of years. So last year's, it was already recorded last year since we had it. So now we're going to be in the same year again because we were behind the way, we used to not get it in that fiscal year. So now we're back on, and this is significantly, this is $4,000 or $5,000 more.
Well, this year is 27, what does it say, 27,296, so this is actually quite a jump.
Right.
Okay.
So we received it in the 2013
Yeah, around December we
fiscal
got
year,
the
but
check.
now we're spending it in the 2013-14 year, if that makes sense. Because it used to be that we could do it at the same time, and we got behind because they gave us the money later.
Okay.
And this check probably won't arrive until sometime this fall as well. So
Right.
this is telling us what we'll have in next year's budget.
Okay. And so we're
spending the 27,000 this year.
Right. Okay. So this number will be recorded for our next fiscal year and received in our next fiscal
Right.
year and spent in our next fiscal year. Okay, thank you. Anything else to say about that, George?
I think that covers it.
Okay. All right, thanks to the state for once again living up to their commitment. Okay, item 11, directors and librarians report. George?
Well, I wanted a little supplement that Carrie provided for me this afternoon. You may have noted in the written report a little piece on the vocational training program that we're involved with Batavia High School. And there is a note here that the school district puts out an email newsletter type publication every Friday called the Friday Feature. And they have decided to feature tentatively on Friday, April 4th, although that date's not set in stone, this partnership between the high school and the library as part of their publicity. So we're excited that as you can tell from the description that Leah and Carrie put together, that this is a really neat program, we think, and benefits the library, benefits the students, and we've had a couple really good students, and our first student is coming back again. And Carrie, care to say anything more about it?
Just that it is. I mean, these kids work so hard, and it's one of those things where you're just matching up with their abilities to get the right job that works. But they've done a wonderful job. They cleaned up a few projects for me that I had just hanging around, and in fact, the first student we had did such a great job. I asked if she could come back, and they said absolutely. So she'll be starting again in March for 8 weeks. So it's been a great success, and I look forward to having him back next year too if it works.
Okay, thank you.
And something that's not in the report, but that I think is quite interesting, is we provided a tour of the library and its services for a library technical assistant class at Wabansie Community College, and this was coordinated through Stacy, who's sort of our lead contact person, and but it involved every department in the library, and a healthy percentage of the managers, most if not all, including myself, gave pieces of the tour, and we walked around and talked about various services. They had, unfortunately, the weather and some illness limited the number of students this time around. We've had as many as, 15 or more, I think, in the past, and this time we had more like 3. But they were an attentive group, and they really seemed to enjoy it. And it's a nice partnership we have with the Monson Community College. Anything anybody wants to say about that?
And I can add, I go and speak to the class then. In a couple of weeks, I go and just talk to them about technical services and how we work and the kind of job opportunities that are available. So we've been doing this for what, 3 or 4 years, maybe? So twice a year, they come in the spring and fall.
So it's a nice little outreach on our part, and sometimes we get practical students out of the deal. Although we have not had a practical student for a couple of years now, but through College of DuPage or Bonds, they both have library technical assistant programs, and we've had students come through and do their practicum at our library, and over the years we've hired at least 3 or more students in my tenure, perhaps more, and we have one person, at least one person currently on staff in the circulation department who went through that program. So again, it's a good partnership for us. Otherwise, the Winter Reading Club wraps up in a couple of weeks. I'm sure that Joanna Stacy will be talking about that. And I reported on the 3 days in January that we closed earlier than usual because of the polar vortex conditions we experienced. And we've talked about other days, but we've resisted the temptation to close early. We monitor very closely weather conditions. Like yesterday was an example where Joanne and I were really looking at this and what the storm patterns were and what other agencies were doing, and finally concluded that it was better to stay open and let the snow plows clear off the path, and that worked out pretty well for everybody yesterday. But it's a crapshoot, really, in this kind of a winter. And I'm really pleased that we've closed as little as we've had to close, and I'm proud of our service. And we are a warming place for people, so we have to take that into consideration as well. And then a little piece, just a preview of what's coming in the next Neighbors I thought you might be interested in, about the Van Nortwick family.
Yes.
Since we're sitting next to the Van Nortwick mirror and on the block where John Van Nortwick lives, so this sort of been his grandson maybe, I think, or some relationship. So yeah, so just some fun news. And that's all I've got. I'll be happy to turn it over to Joanne and Stacy.
I would like to take a minute talking about the weather. And the snow yesterday was quite a challenge because it really, came down, and should you stay open, should you close? And I have to commend we have a great group of staff. Staff go out, they help each other clean off cars and things like that. But one of our facilities workers, Rich, and sorry, Lucas. Last night at 5 o'clock, several of us were actually plowed into our parking spots. We had made sure that the snowplow came so patrons could get through the parking lot. And those of us who had been here most of the day, they did a nice job of, clearing off the street right up against our cars. And so, we couldn't budge. So Rich was out there with his shovel and shoveled several staff members out. And that we really appreciated that, because we would still be out there waiting until today when it all thawed. But, he did a yeoman's job. Nobody asked him. He just was out there. He noticed that things were pretty plowed in and went out there with his shovel and started shoveling. And that was really great. I do want to mention that just something new on the back of my report you noticed are the database stats. Typically in the past, most of our databases have been purchased through a package, and they're recorded on the adult services on Stacy's report every month. But since we had purchased, we subscribed to Tumble Books and to Muzzy, you may remember about a year or so ago. And this year now we've added 8 new databases. So we thought it's time that youth services start showing those stats ourselves. So you'll be seeing those stats since they're all pretty new to us. You don't have many stats, so if there's lines through them, that means we hadn't had the database yet. And we had a little problem getting our Go Grow Your databases up and running. You could use them in-house, but patrons weren't
able to access them from home, which they should be able to with their library card. So we think we have all those kinks worked out earlier this month, so now next month we should start being able to give you some stats for that. So that'll be interesting to see. We do, I mentioned at our last meeting that we do try to plug some of these into our reading clubs, especially our winter reading club, to kind of highlight these for patrons. So we'll need to keep doing that, and we'll be running a few other programs and to highlight some of these databases to generate interest in them. I think as people see them, they love them. It's interesting that people just, oh, I didn't realize you had those. And so it's constantly trying to bring that up to for their information.
Joanne, is it possible for you to just give us or just next time you do this, just give us what these databases?
Sure. You know what? I bet you weren't here the time I gave out a little flyer about them, Tom. I'll make sure that you get one. But yeah, I'd be happy to. A lot of them are video books. Some of them, the ancient history, those are all history biographies. Some of the nice things, Lands and People and New Book of Popular Science, those are reference books that they really don't update very often anymore, but if you get the online database, those are being updated much more frequently and regularly. But they have a lot of video productions on them, very interactive timelines, and really kind of expand if a child is doing a research project, really expands the information that they're getting. So, but I will certainly bring that up again. Just really brief on Winter Reading Club, you'll get a full stat sheet in March. I'll send around. Michelle did a little poster for us today. The little hearts that are on the little poster are things that our families are doing. That's one of their tasks to do. We do have over 140 families this year participating. That is a little down from last year. I would say I don't want to blame everything on the weather, but I think some of it is weather related. We just, there's times that we've had a couple story times when it's been snowing like crazy outside, and nobody's come to story time, even though we have 20 signed up in the class. So those numbers are down slightly from last year. But we do know that the families who are participating are really enjoying it. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I was a little bit late, because we had a little crush at the desk tonight for turning in those logbooks. There is still time to participate. In fact, Astrid and Adult Services remind me of that tonight, that just keep participating till the end of the month, February 28th. So families on BATV might want to remember that. And this Saturday, we are doing a finale for our Winter Library Club, and our finale this year is professional and local magician Ken Mate will be doing a magic show. He is a professional magician. He's been here to Batavia before, and at the library has done programs for us, magic shows, and it is amazing. And we knew that he was going to be very popular, and since this is our Winter Reading Club finale, we are offering the tickets only to families who are participating in Winter Library Club, because we knew he was going to be a big hit. So we still do have some tickets available for him, but he should be a great finale on Saturday. And that's all I have.
Joanne, can I ask a question about this battle of the books? So is this a competition just
between the schools?
Okay.
At the middle school, obviously, it's just within teams, but at the middle school.
Okay.
And then the elementary schools will battle each other. They battle in the school, and then they'll do the final battle here at between the schools. And it's something that the LRC directors, Resource Center directors, Debbie Hassey was still here, so I want to say, Maureen, would you know 5, 6?
At least because Bobby was doing it. And
Yeah,
she was
5, 6, 7 years ago they started this. So something it's done in a lot of school districts, and a lot of libraries participate in it. So Debbie started helping with it and coming up with questions and stuff, and Allison, as school liaison, has kind of jumped into that role as well.
Okay. So the final competition that's here is what goes into that competition?
So then one team from each school is representing their school, and they will be asked questions about specific books. And then they have to answer the question correctly to get points. And then the team, obviously with the highest point, is the winner. And it's very exciting.
That's
It's
spirited.
cutthroat. Yeah, it is very exciting.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Stacy?
Well, Winter Library Club is continuing in adult services as well. As Astrid and Joanne reminded you, we're still accepting the reading logbooks through the end of the month, through the 28th. So we encourage people to read 3 books, write them down on one of our logbook sheets, and bring them on in to earn a prize. We're also in the midst of One Book, One Batavia season. I'm going to send these around in case you haven't picked up a copy or should like to give one to someone else. We have 25 copies of the book, many of which are checked out right now, but you can always place a hold. They're coming back regularly as well.
Our book club at church just read it, so
Okay.
they were 20.
Is it on ebook? I do not know offhand if it's an ebook. I wish I knew. I can check on that later. We're 2 events in and 6 events to go. So the season is just underway. Yesterday we had a program that librarian Lee Blakely presented about homemade natural toiletries. Had 65 people signed up. About 35 actually showed up in the snow. So that's a dedicated group of people who wanted to attend. She has a follow-up program about natural cleaners next week, and then several other programs coming up related to sustainability, green living, and other topics that tie into the book. So we invite you to get word out about those programs and attend anything that looks interesting.
Okay, thanks, Stacy, and congratulations on that North Pole the Hard Way event. I did attend that, and it was a full house, and I think a lot of people really liked it, so that was a good one. Yeah, that new Lyceum lecture series has been a really good success, I think, for this organization, and continue to try to seek out those exciting speakers. Okay, any other questions for Stacy? Okay. All right, so now to committee reports. Andrew, anything to report from facilities?
I think most of that is going to come up in item number 14, right? Or
It is, the only thing that's not is the facade, that was referred on to finance for further discussion.
okay. So and that was the report our consultant. What was that? Just so I can look at it. BTC prepared a report on the facade. A review of the facade conditions and the work that's needed out there to bring it back up to the quality that it should be, to seal off some of the deficiencies in the doors or on the windows where we've got some of the brick and block that's starting to fail. So they put together a really good report. I've been impressed with everything these guys have put together for us. It's always been really thorough and easy to follow, the way they kind of put things together with options for the repairs and where they make recommendations as to how we can spend our money best and get the most efficient use of our money. So looking through those, there's quite a bit of work that needs to be done, so we've forwarded that along the finance to look at. So but it's going to be it's going to be a big effort for us to decide how we want to address these issues.
In short, we do not have sufficient funds to do that whole project all at once.
Yeah, the funds identified, was it $1.6 million, including contingencies, engineering fees, things like that. So that's quite a bit of money, so that's something we have to decide.
Yeah, that's like half our annual budget.
Yeah, so when you combine that with the work that we're looking at for the exterior, for the site work, we're $2 million, so.
Right. Okay, well, it gives the finance committee some priorities or prioritizations to deal with, so, okay. Thank you, Andrew. Any questions for facilities committee? Okay, 12D as services committee. We did meet in early February, and the main topic of discussion was the ebook challenge that we and I guess libraries all over the country are facing, and in that, certainly we'd like to offer more ebooks to our patrons, and the publishing industry is putting some real restrictions on even, how many ebooks we're able to buy, what kinds of ebooks we're able to buy. It's difficult to be told that, your money's no good and we won't sell you this ebook at any price. So that's something that I've taken an interest in, and George and Stacy and I have talked about that, and we had a very lively committee discussion about it. And I'm going to continue to look into ways that maybe our library or if nothing else, that at least me can take some initiative on and try to move that issue in the direction that we'd like to see, which is really promoting literacy and reading in our community and every community. So that's something we'll be looking at for the future. There's probably not any quick and easy answer to that one. So we'll be hearing more about that. And we also discussed a request from our foundation board as well at that meeting. So any questions on services committee? Okay. And then item 12F is the Friends.
Unfortunately, I was out of town for that meeting, so I'm relying on George to fill in there.
It was pretty much just a regular business meeting for them. They did talk about sponsoring a trivia bee team of their own, in addition to the one they're sponsoring for the library, and they've ultimately, subsequent to that meeting, decided to defer that to next year. But otherwise, they were discussing their annual meeting that's coming up in February and March. I don't have the date in front of me, but you'll be receiving notification of their annual meeting, and just their book sale work and things like that. So it was pretty much just a standard business meeting for them.
Okay, thank you, George. And then item 12G is Link. George, anything to report there?
Well, again, pretty standard stuff. The approval of the Link budget. There is some discussion of allowing electronic attendance like this board does when the circumstances warrant it. And so I shared our policy with the Link board, an entity has to adopt a policy to be able to do that. So I shared what we have done with them, and I'm sure that discussion will continue. And otherwise, nothing pressing to report. We're getting into the season where the Link directors, Link managers evaluation will be taking place, and that's coming up pretty soon.
Okay. Questions for George on Link? Okay. Item 13 is future agenda items. You have a memo in your packet about this. Pretty self-explanatory, I presume. George, anything you want to highlight of note here?
No, not really. Well, I guess I will say that the technology plan, which often is presented in February, will be presented at next month's board meeting. We come to the facilities committee the first week of March, so then we do that every year. We update it every year, so that's coming up.
Okay, thank you. And then item 14 is our only real action item tonight, being exterior masonry. So Andrew was referring to this as part of his facilities committee report. Andrew, would you like to tell us what we're looking at here?
Yeah, that's so this is the site work component repairs. VTC has put together plans and specifications package to place it up to bid. I believe the engineer's estimate is $540,000, as I recall.
Including all fees and...
Right, including engineering fees, contingencies, those sorts of things. the way they've laid out the bid schedule, they award the contract based on the lowest responsible bidder. So responsive and responsible bidder is typically how you say that. So once we get that, they'll also break out a number of the items by line items. So once we get it, if we decide that the costs are too much for, say, concrete slab replacement, we can take that portion out of it. Or if there's and once we get to work 2, if we decide that we need to replace more concrete, we'll have a unit number for that. So it's laid out pretty well as far as that goes. So if there are any adders or subtractions from the contract, once the work gets started, we should be able to identify those easily and move forward with them. This is all the work that we talked about a couple meetings back. I'm trying to remember when was it that we gave them the approval to move forward in September.
Oh gosh, the schematic design that the board authorized them moving forward with their design in August.
thanks.
And, so they're ready for the bidding phase now.
Yeah.
And,
So there's obviously some items out there that need to be done. Column covers out there, those need repair. The cast stone wall cladding, that's to prevent water damage to those walls so that they stay standing. I don't think any are in danger of falling over, but just to keep them in good shape. The railings and stairs where the paint is in bad shape on all the metal railings, we're looking at replacing those. Stairs and replacement, there's the one stair area down here that I expect, especially now this time of year, when it gets standing water, it freezes. It's got a bird bath in it that needs to come out. So we'll fix that. Sidewalks, those are around this area here, mostly up at the upper level. There's a lot of heave in the ground.
There's pieces scattered around the whole property, but there was quite a bit up on the upper
That have some
level.
bad pitch to them, and they're just not level. And then the book deposit area downstairs, the idea is to extend those out further so it's easier as cars come around to get the books and media into those. So once we get that in, we can take a look at the bid. If there's something we don't like, we can take that out. And then we'll get a chance, George, that'll come to the board to approve the contract, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Once we get the bids.
Once the bids are in. Well, so the question before the board is to whether to, in fact, authorize the bid process to proceed. The committee did discuss in some depth with the design team the plans and specs. We're not completely finalized yet. There's still some little tweaks we're doing. We do have, for those really interested in looking at that really fat book you see in front of Kathy is the spec book. And we have a roll of plans. So it's a complex project because there's so many diverse elements in it. And as Andrew said earlier, this company just inspires confidence. The reports they've given us and the work they've done thus far has really been stellar. So. I should mention, as I did in the report related to all this, the city has actually agreed to our proposition to expand the top of the stairway in exchange for not having to do a second stairway on Water Street.
So that probably saves us a good bit of money.
It should.
Would you think?
I would think the cost of putting in a whole brand new stairway would be a lot more than on Water Street.
Given the
Plus-
grading issues.
Well,
on
plus
Water
the idea
Street.
of where would you put it. I mean, it's not just putting a stairway in over, the stairway costs money, but it's tying it into what we have also,
Right.
all the other landscaping and
Yeah.
areas that we have here to put that in. There's no good place to put it. Take a lot of effort. The stairway itself would be almost the smallest piece of that.
As it turned out, the city council didn't need to act. We've gotten various, versions of stories, and I was, working closely with different staff in the city, and by the time all was said and done, they had a process that they could follow, and then once we had to submit a formal application. It cost us $250 to undergo that review process, which they would not waive for us, and the turnaround time ended up being very short once we actually got the application turned in. So it was, I'm just sort of excited that that's able to be, because the economy of scale, the work on those stairs is essentially the same kind of work we're doing other places on the property. So to do it separately would have been difficult. So the propositions before you are to accept the design and specifications based on the recommendation from the Facilities Committee, to authorize me to execute the proposal from BTC for bidding assistance, to do the bidding phase, which is a lump sum of $4,000 fee for that, and then authorize me to execute the proposals they had submitted previously for the stairway, which is $800 for the schematic design, and an estimate of $2,000 for the repair design. They won't know the final dollar amount exactly until they do the schematic design. I already informed BTC that the city had approved the library's proposal and that they know the library board will be talking about this tonight.
And that work would be incorporated then into this bidding schedule. And we, with our agreement to the city, then we have to make those modifications to the stairs. So even if we decided we didn't want to do anything in this, it would still be required with our.
If we want to be totally off the hook for the second stairway, I would say yes, we need to modify the stairs. I don't think we're like ironclad committed to that. I think the board still has choice, but basically, if we do not want to do the second stairs, our proposition was we will expand the stairway.
So it's an either.
Okay.
And I'll keep you posted as work is being done. Consultants told me that the stairway can be done as an add-on to this, so we don't have to delay starting the bidding process. It can be done as a change order, as opposed to they can incorporate an indication that this is in the works without having to delay the actual total bidding process. Now, what that would mean is we would be bidding out 7 components, and then whatever contractor was the best responsive contractor, we would then be asking them for a price on component 8, the stairway. The alternative is to delay the bidding process slightly and let them catch up, which shouldn't be that hard on this piece. So I guess I'd like some direction from the board as to whether this came after the committee meeting, so we really haven't had a chance to discuss that. So.
I think we will get a better price for the stairs if it's part of the bid package. I think it's possible to get a really good price for the stair after we get a contractor in, but I'm a little hesitant to add. Have they given us an estimate of what that work's going to cost? Do you remember?
Not yet, because that comes out of the schematic design.
I mean, I think if it's anything more than $5,000 or $10,000, it would be an easy way for a contractor who got the bid and had started the work and found out that they had missed something to make up. We would, of course, have the option to not accept their proposal to do the stairs and have somebody else come do it. So if they came in, we thought it was a $10,000 job and they offered to do the stairs for $20,000, we could tell them, no, thank you, let somebody else do it.
That makes total sense to me, especially since I refer to it as component 8, but in fact, it's railings and stairway and the stone cladding and the caps. So it's really all the same pieces as. So if we wait and incorporate it, then all those pieces would just be incorporated into the design we've already got, which I would agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, I'd like to get one here and get working.
I like the fact that, like you said, they had to do it up front, because that's some of the work that's planned for there is going to change because we're doing that. The railings are going to be a little different. The cladding, that can all be done at the same time.
Yeah, because they'll order all those pieces at the same
Right.
time. So if we could get it together quickly enough so that they could order all the components at the same time, that would help a lot. But if it was a couple months down the road, we might not. Yeah, we might not realize the economy of scale.
I think there's more opportunity to potentially save money if it's part of the original bid process as opposed to later.
Right.
Because we'll be buying some of the same material that's needed elsewhere. And I agree with Andrew about, not that the contractor would do this, but if there was some cost differences, then the tendency would be they have us where we, in a position we would not want to be in. So this way we can
I don't think it's that we would necessarily get a bad price afterwards. I just think we'll get a better price if it's part of the change.
and then there'll be less surprises later.
How much of a delay would we be looking at?
You know, I don't have that information, but the schematic design, they estimated $800 worth of their work. So based on that, I would guess that it's not.
It's a day's worth of work.
Yeah, that would,
Do they, what's our process? Do we need to approve the schematic design before they do a detailed design for us?
we have in the past.
Because that would be,
For the first part of the project, that could be on this, well, they may not have anything for the facilities committee meeting yet, which is just like a week after next.
because then
So-
we're talking, if it's got to come back to the full board to approve the schematic before they do the detail, then we're probably waiting, pushing this all back 2 months.
The schematic, probably, the basic tenets of the schematic design probably are the same as railings. The recommendations they made for railings and the stone caps and things probably are the same. The one key piece is, the idea is, of course, to expand where the 2 columns are, or the 4 columns, to expand that sidewalk out.
Cut out
So
a
they're,
portion of it.
basically, we're taking away the 2 side pieces and building new ones further apart. So that's the new, everything else is tied into the existing, so.
Right.
I think with a slight modification to the motion to basically make the stairway, make that the top priority to incorporate it into the bidding process. I think, and then I'll talk to them tomorrow and find out what kind of schedule we can.
It would be great if we could work through a schematic so that at the next meeting, we could, approve the schematic and the final design.
If we could have something in March, I think that would keep us on schedule for the construction season.
Yeah, because otherwise we're going to miss 2 months. Losing a month, I don't think is, especially as cold as it's. I mean, it's going to. By the time we bid, by the time the contractors get out, the frost will be out of the ground. Everything will be starting to blow. I don't think it's a big deal, but I hate to push this back too far.
Because we might lose out on other jobs that
Yeah, it's true. The longer we wait, I mean, if we put it up to bid today, you'll get the contractors before they have a chance to bid any other jobs, and they might still be hungrier. The longer we wait, they might have other jobs lined up.
Well, and would it be problematic to, with tonight's vote, authorize George to get that a stairwell piece incorporated into the bid and then go out for bid without us taking yet another action?
Well, maybe the chair of the facilities committee and me, that might give me a higher level of comfort with it.
Sure. Do we just want to meet try to get the bids out so we can review the bids at the next board meeting? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, I don't know if that's possible, but
I think their
I guess I'm just-
they're shooting for April, I think, to bring the bids back, so.
Regardless, okay. Well, then
So if we can get in the interims between now and the March meeting and March and the April meeting, if we can get something back from them and get it, okay, because then.
We've already given them approval to go out and do the schematics and everything for the bidding process, except for the woods.
Yeah, this work here, the repair design, so they've got most of, I would say 98% of the work done for the bidding,
Right.
except for that stairway piece.
did they get the landscaping incorporated?
They have been talking to our landscape person, so.
Regarding trees?
I have not gotten an update on that.
I believe that was the one piece they were missing, was these trees out here are problematic. They're growing out too big for where the space they're in, so those are coming out.
And they drop lots of berries, which becomes a real cleaning problem, especially on the cafe tables. They're pretty. They attract some birds and things like that because of the berries, but they don't transplant well. So we can't, even if we wanted to keep those and put them in pods, although that particular, they're.
We would have a hard time to find a place to put them because we had that problem with the linden trees.
Yeah.
So the idea is to take these out and put potted trees in instead. We can manage easier. So,
Okay, well then, so the modification to the motion would be to
So we're still going to approve the bidding assistance, right? That nothing changes with that,
Right, because
right?
either way, we have to
Yeah.
bid to move forward. And so the change in 3 is to basically, well, 3 is the same. It's actually adding a 4, which would be to authorize trustee Deachman and Director Sheets to act on behalf of the board between meetings, and the board can then ratify the action.
Okay.
Words to that effect, which I'll make
I
a
so
lot
moved.
nicer than
Okay, moved by Van Loenen,
Second.
second by McGuire Popick. Roll call, please.
McGuire Popick.
Aye.
Blodgett.
Aye.
Deachman.
Aye.
Van Lunen.
Aye.
Jacobowski.
Aye.
Sullivan.
Aye.
Schuster. Aye.
Okay, thank you.
It's a big project. This is a big project.
Yeah.
That's looking forward to an even bigger dollar amount forward to maybe the April meeting. Is that what we're?
I think that's what they're shooting for, yeah.
Okay.
Well, maybe the bids will come in good.
It would be great to find some hungry contractors that we have confidence in to come and do this work.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Item 15 are the next meetings and events. Should be pretty self-explanatory. And then item 16, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
That's all stay.
Somebody do it.
Okay, moved by Blodgett.
Second.
Okay, second by Schuster, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
It's a little funny, like everybody-